Lights in the sky, strange shapes hovering above, mysterious disappearances. America has been at the center of countless UFO sightings. From jaw-dropping military encounters to bizarre backyard sightings, today, we're diving into 101 UFO stories that left the country stunned. Buckle up. Things are about to get out of this world. 1. The Roswell crash of 1947. Let's kick off with one of the most infamous incidents of all time. A mysterious object crashed on a ranch in New Mexico, sparking decades of debate. The official story? A weather balloon. But witnesses reported strange metallic debris and even alien bodies. Weather balloon? Really? What were they measuring? Martian weather. 2. The Phoenix Lights, 1997. On March 13, 1997, thousands of people across Arizona reported seeing a massive V-shaped formation of lights silently flying overhead. Military flares? That's the official explanation, but let's be real. Do flares hover in perfect formation for hours? Arizona residents weren't convinced, and honestly, neither are we. 3. The 2006 UFO sighting in the Stephenville UFO, Texas. In 2006, residents of Stephenville, Texas, reported seeing a massive, bright object flying over the town. The UFO was described as having multiple lights and was moving erratically at high speed. Some witnesses claimed it was a secret military aircraft, but no official explanation was ever provided, making this one of the most mysterious UFO sightings in recent history. 4th, the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO flap. Over 2 consecutive weekends in July 1952, multiple UFOs were spotted buzzing over the U.S. Capitol. Radar operators tracked the objects, fighter jets were scrambled, and the media went wild. The official explanation, temperature inversions. Sounds fancy, but doesn't it feel like they just wanted us to stop asking questions? 5. The Barney and Betty Hill abduction, 1961. Barney and Betty Hill were driving through rural New Hampshire when they saw a bright light following them. Later, under hypnosis, they both recalled being taken aboard an alien craft and examined. Fun fact: they even described a star map shown to them by the aliens. 6. The 1967 UFO sighting in the Blue Book sighting, Kansas. In 1967, several residents of Kansas saw a large flying saucer-like object in the sky. The UFO was reported to have been hovering for several minutes before it rapidly accelerated and vanished. The incident was investigated by Project Blue Book, the U.S. Air Force's UFO study program, but no definitive explanation was provided. 7. The 1981 UFO sighting in the Wisconsin UFO incident, Wisconsin. In 1981, several residents of Wisconsin reported seeing a strange, glowing object hovering over the state. The UFO was said to be disc-shaped, and it moved slowly through the sky before disappearing at high speed. Local authorities investigated, but no answers were found, leaving the mystery unsolved. 8. The Travis Walton abduction, 1975. This one's straight out of a sci-fi horror film. Travis Walton, a logger in Arizona, was allegedly abducted by a UFO in front of his crew. He reappeared 5 days later, disoriented and with no memory of where he'd been. The story became so famous it inspired the movie Fire in the Sky. Hollywood may have added some drama, but Walton insists it's all true. 9. The 1992 UFO sighting in the Texas Triangle. In the early 1990s, multiple sightings of triangular-shaped UFOs were reported over various parts of Texas. The UFOs were described as large, dark, and silent, moving at high speed. Witnesses reported the objects hovering over highways, and the sightings spread across several counties. Local authorities investigated but could not provide any answers, fueling more speculation about extraterrestrial visitation. 10. The Kelly Hopkinsville Goblins, 1955. In Kentucky, a family claimed to be under siege by small, glowing alien creatures. They said the goblins kept peeking into their windows all night. The military called it a case of overactive imaginations, but the family was adamant. Aliens? Or maybe some very curious raccoons with glow sticks? 11. The Kecksburg UFO Incident, 1965. A mysterious fireball was seen streaking across the sky over Pennsylvania before crashing in the woods near Kecksburg. Witnesses described a metallic, acorn-shaped object with strange hieroglyphic-like symbols on it. The military quickly sealed off the area, and the object was never seen again. The official explanation? A meteor. Sure, because meteors totally have alien runes carved into them. 12. The Lubbock Lights, 1951. One summer night in Lubbock, Texas, 3 professors spotted dozens of glowing blue-green lights flying in a V formation across the sky. More witnesses came forward, and even photos were taken. The Air Force chalked it up to birds reflecting city lights. Wait, glowing birds? Where's David Attenborough when you need him? 13. The Coin Helicopter Incident, 1973. During a routine military training flight in Ohio, a helicopter crew encountered a UFO that hovered directly above them, shining a green beam of light. For a moment, the helicopter started to rise uncontrollably, as if the UFO was pulling it up. Afterward, the crew reported strange electromagnetic effects. Let's just say they probably switched to ground transportation for a while after that. 14. The Pascagoula Abduction, 1973. 2 men, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, were fishing off the coast of Pascagoula, Mississippi, when they were reportedly taken aboard a UFO by robotic beings. The aliens allegedly examined them before returning them to their original location. The 2 men were so traumatized that they reported the incident to the police. This case is another in a long list of unexplained abductions, and it remains one of the most bizarre encounters in UFO history. 15. The Aurora Crash, 1897. Long before Roswell, there was Aurora, Texas. A mysterious airship allegedly crashed into a windmill, leaving wreckage described as otherworldly. The town even claimed to bury the alien pilot in their cemetery. If true, this would be America's first recorded UFO crash. If not, it's one heck of a tourism strategy. 16. The Nimitz Encounter, 2004. During a training exercise off the coast of California, Navy pilots from the USS Nimitz tracked a tic-tac-shaped UFO performing maneuvers no human craft could replicate. It darted, stopped, and accelerated at hypersonic speeds, all while defying gravity. The Pentagon later confirmed this as part of its now declassified UFO program. Tic-tac? More like oh snap. 17. The Flatwoods Monster, 1952. In West Virginia, several kids and a woman claimed to see a UFO land, and a tall, menacing figure emerge from it. They described the creature as wearing a spade-shaped helmet and glowing red eyes. Skeptics said it was just a barn owl. A glowing, red-eyed owl the size of a basketball player? Yeah, right. 18. The 2005 UFO sighting in the New York City UFO, New York. In 2005, residents of New York City reported seeing a bright, hovering UFO in the skies over the city. The object was described as having multiple lights and moving erratically before disappearing. Despite numerous eyewitness reports, no official explanation was provided, and many New Yorkers still wonder about the event. 19. The Cash Landrum Incident, 1980. In Texas, again, Texas, what's going on? 2 women and a child reported seeing a diamond-shaped craft emitting flames and intense heat. They suffered radiation burns and other health issues afterward. The government denied any involvement, but the witnesses were left with scars, both physical and mental. Texas might need a hotline just for UFO therapy at this point. 20. The UFO Battle of Los Angeles, 1942. Just 3 months after Pearl Harbor, anti-aircraft guns fired over Los Angeles at what was thought to be a Japanese air raid. Except, there were no planes. Witnesses claimed to see a large, glowing object hovering in the sky while searchlights focused on it. The military called it a false alarm, but hundreds of witnesses weren't convinced. Were they firing at a UFO? Or was it just a very aggressive weather balloon? Do you think the government knows more than they're letting on about these incidents? Let me know your theories, and brace yourselves because the next sightings are even crazier. 21. The Travis AFB UFO Chase, 1964. A group of airmen in California witnessed a UFO hovering over their base before it darted away at lightning speed. They chased it for miles in their patrol cars but couldn't keep up. One witness later joked, "It's like the aliens were playing tag with us, and we were losing." 22. The Phoenix Forgotten Incident, 1997. Remember the Phoenix lights? Here's a twist. Several people claimed they lost hours of memory after witnessing the phenomenon. A local teen allegedly disappeared while investigating the lights and was never found. Okay, that sounds more like a horror movie plot, but hey, maybe aliens are camera shy. 23. The Yukon UFO Sighting, 1996. Let's head up to Alaska's neighbor, Canada, for a chilling report involving over 30 witnesses. A massive, glowing craft silently flew across the Yukon skies, described as being larger than a football field. One witness claimed, "It blocked out the stars like a giant spaceship." Was this just an alien joyride across the border? 24. The 1967 UFO sighting in Glen Rose, Texas. In 1967, residents of Glen Rose, Texas, witnessed a UFO that was said to have hovered over a local farm for several hours. The object was described as round with blinking lights. Local authorities were unable to provide any explanation, and the event remains unexplained. 25. The UFO over Malmstrom Air Force Base, 1967. In Montana, UFOs were reported hovering over nuclear missile silos, and then, mysteriously, the missiles were deactivated. Air Force officers said they had no explanation for the malfunction. Aliens disarming nukes? If that's true, maybe they're here to save us from ourselves. 26. The Portage County UFO Chase, 1966. Two Ohio police officers chased a UFO for over 30 minutes, crossing state lines into Pennsylvania before the craft disappeared. The officers described it as a bright, metallic object with a domed top. One officer later said it was so fast, it made their cruiser feel like it was standing still. Aliens or just showing off their high-speed intergalactic tech? 27. The Hudson Valley Wave, 1983 to 1986. For 3 years, thousands of residents in New York's Hudson Valley reported seeing boomerang-shaped UFOs with multicolored lights. Witnesses described the craft as massive and completely silent. Local pranksters tried to take credit for it, claiming they were flying ultralight planes in formation. But let's be real. How many ultralights does it take to black out the night sky? 28. The Delphos Ring, 1971. In Kansas, a family saw a glowing mushroom-shaped UFO land in their backyard. When it left behind a perfect circle of glowing residue on the ground. Scientists analyzed the soil and found it chemically altered. That's right. Crop circles may be cool, but Kansas says, "Hold my glowing dirt." 29. The 1950 UFO sighting in Montana, the Montana UFO Wave. In 1950, a series of UFO sightings occurred across Montana. The sightings were reported by both military personnel and civilians, and many claim to have seen UFOs moving at incredible speeds. Despite several investigations, the origin of the sightings remains a mystery. 30. The Yukon-Alaska Encounter, 1986. A Japanese airline pilot flying over Alaska reported seeing 3 UFOs, including one the size of an aircraft carrier. The objects followed his plane for nearly an hour, and the radar confirmed their presence. The official explanation? Weather anomalies. Because sure, weather can follow a jumbo jet like it's on a road trip. 31. The Allagash Abduction, 1976. 4 friends on a camping trip in Maine saw a glowing orb over the lake. Later, under hypnosis, they all recalled being abducted by aliens and subjected to experiments. Spooky part? All 4 friends had the same exact memories of the event. If you're planning a camping trip, maybe bring a flashlight and a tinfoil hat. 32. The 1983 UFO sighting in Washington State. In 1983, a UFO was reported over the Columbia River near Washington state. Multiple witnesses saw a triangular craft with bright lights flying at high speed. The craft reportedly moved in ways that defied normal aviation laws, leading many to believe that the U.S. government was testing a secret aircraft, or that it was of extraterrestrial origin. 33. The Los Angeles UFO Chase, 1992. Police helicopters chased a mysterious craft over downtown LA. The object darted and weaved through the skyline, leaving officers baffled. The LAPD eventually lost it, but honestly, alien traffic skills would be a solid survival trait in LA. 34. The Minot Air Force Base Incident, 1968. Another military encounter, this time in North Dakota. Air Force personnel reported seeing a glowing object near a missile silo. Shortly after, they discovered one of their nuclear missiles had been tampered with. I mean, what's the protocol for calling alien tech support? 35. The Big Sur UFO Incident, 1964. During a missile test in California, a UFO was reportedly caught on film intercepting the missile and disabling it mid-flight. The footage allegedly disappeared, but witnesses stuck to their story. Aliens disarming missiles again? Maybe they've seen too many sci-fi movies and decided to intervene? 36. The Orange County UFO, 1990. In Orange County, California, multiple witnesses reported a glowing orb zipping across the night sky before splitting into two smaller orbs and vanishing. Witnesses described the movements as too precise and deliberate for any known aircraft. I guess if aliens are visiting Orange County, they're looking for beachfront property. 37. The Pine Bush UFO Wave, 1980s to 1990s. Known as the UFO capital of the East, Pine Bush, New York, became famous for repeated sightings of triangular crafts with bright lights hovering silently. Locals even reported hearing strange humming sounds. These sightings became so frequent that Pine Bush now hosts an annual UFO festival. Talk about turning alien tourism into a business opportunity. 38. The Alaska Triangle UFOs. This one's a double mystery. The Alaska Triangle is a region where planes vanish without a trace, and it's also home to frequent UFO sightings. One chilling report involved a small aircraft that disappeared after its pilot reported glowing lights circling his plane. Is it aliens? Or just the Bermuda Triangle's colder cousin? 39. The Lonnie Zamora Incident, 1964. A police officer in Socorro, New Mexico, witnessed a craft land in the desert while chasing a speeding car. He described seeing small beings near the craft before it took off with a thunderous roar. The Air Force investigated but couldn't debunk the story. Honestly, if I were Zamora, I'd have radioed for backup so fast. 40. The Gorman Dogfight, 1948. North Dakota again. A fighter pilot named George Gorman engaged in a 27-minute aerial dogfight with a glowing orb. The UFO outmaneuvered his plane at every turn before zooming off into the night sky. Imagine being outperformed by a glowing ball of light. That's gotta sting for a pilot. 41. The St. Clair UFO. 2,000 Illinois police officers in multiple towns reported seeing a massive silent craft with bright lights flying low over the area. One officer said it was so large, it could have landed a 747 on it. The Air Force denied having any aircraft in the area, leaving everyone scratching their heads and probably looking up at the sky more often. 42. The East Mountain UFO, 1967. In Vermont, several hikers reported seeing a glowing disc land on East Mountain near an abandoned radar base. Witnesses said the craft emitted a loud humming noise before taking off at incredible speed. It's like the aliens were saying, "Sorry for the noise, we'll keep it down next time." 43. The Salem UFO Photos, 1952. In Massachusetts, a Coast Guard photographer snapped a series of photos showing a glowing disc-shaped object over Salem. The images have been analyzed for decades, and skeptics still can't debunk them entirely. Maybe the UFO was just there for some wicked good clam chowder. 44. The West Virginia Mothman and UFO Connection. Point Pleasant, West Virginia is famous for its Mothman sightings. But did you know that during the same time, locals also reported strange lights and UFOs in the sky? Coincidence? Or was the Mothman an alien's version of a scout? 45. The 1977 UFO sighting in the Skyquake incident, New Jersey. In 1977, several residents of New Jersey reported seeing a UFO and hearing strange skyquakes. The booming sound was followed by bright lights in the sky, which seemed to hover over the area before disappearing. The event was investigated by the U.S. military, but no official explanation has ever been offered. 46. The Mantell Incident, 1948. A Kentucky Air National Guard pilot, Thomas Mantell, tragically died while chasing a UFO. Witnesses said the object resembled a metallic disc. The Air Force later claimed it was a weather balloon, but some experts questioned how a balloon could outmaneuver a fighter plane. Poor Mantell. He chased it to the very end. 47. The Canadian Falcon Lake Encounter, 1967. While prospecting in Manitoba, a man named Stefan Michalak approached a landed UFO. He said it emitted intense heat and radiation that left burns on his chest in the shape of a grid. The burns never fully healed, and to this day, no one can explain what caused them. Who knew approaching alien ships required SPF 10,000? If you encountered a UFO, would you go up to it or run the other way? Let me know in the comments, because the next sightings might change your mind. 48. The 1964 UFO sighting in the Sonoma UFO incident, California. In 1964, several residents in Sonoma, California, reported seeing a large disc-shaped UFO hovering over the area. The object was seen moving slowly before shooting off at an incredible speed. The sighting remained unexplained, with many UFO enthusiasts considering it to be a genuine encounter with an extraterrestrial craft. 49. The Washington State UFO crash, 1947. A pilot named Kenneth Arnold reported seeing a series of crescent-shaped objects flying at incredible speeds near Mount Rainier. This sighting is credited with coining the term flying saucer. Although no crash occurred, Arnold's detailed account shook the nation and made UFOs a household topic. 50. The Yosemite Lights, 2017. Hikers in Yosemite National Park captured footage of glowing orbs hovering over the mountains before disappearing into the night. Experts tried to blame it on drones, but no permits were issued for drone use in the area that night. Maybe the aliens just wanted a nice view of Half Dome. Alright, we're officially halfway through our list, and I've got one question. Are aliens just tourists, or do they have a serious fascination with our national parks? Either way, I hope they're respecting the leave no trace rule. 51. The Shreveport UFO, 2001. In Louisiana, 2 police officers reported seeing a massive craft with pulsating red and green lights hovering above the city. The object reportedly stayed in place for several minutes before zipping away at an incredible speed. Shreveport's finest might have been chasing it, but UFOs don't exactly follow traffic laws. 52. The 1969 UFO sighting in the Berkshires, Massachusetts. In 1969, several residents of the Berkshires in Massachusetts reported seeing a UFO that hovered low over the tree line. Some witnesses reported seeing humanoid figures on board, while others felt paralyzed by the event. This sighting is often cited as one of the most compelling UFO encounters in the Northeast. 53. The Connecticut UFO, 1998. In Fairfield, Connecticut, several people witnessed a bright disc-shaped UFO that hovered for hours before disappearing. One witness described it as having a fiery orange core surrounded by a blue glow. UFOs tend to go all out with the light shows in Connecticut. Maybe they're looking for the best place to park a spaceship. 54. The 1997 UFO sighting in the California wildfires, UFO, California. During the massive wildfires in California in 1997, multiple firefighters and locals saw a strange glowing object hovering near the flames. Some witnesses claimed that the UFO was causing the fires, while others speculated it was an observer from another planet. The sighting was so unusual that it gained significant media attention, though no clear explanation was ever given. 55. The Exeter Incident, 1965. In New Hampshire, 2 police officers witnessed a UFO land in a field before taking off at incredible speeds. Multiple witnesses saw the object, and the military later showed up to investigate. One officer, Eugene Bertrand, described the UFO as a gigantic glowing egg. So, maybe aliens are just trying to find the best breakfast spot in New England. 56. The 1980 UFO sighting in the Bentwaters Incident. England, U.S. Air Force involvement. Although this incident occurred in England, U.S. Air Force personnel were involved. In 1980, U.S. military personnel stationed at RAF Bentwaters saw a triangular-shaped UFO hovering near a forest. The craft reportedly emitted a bright light and landed for a short period before taking off at high speed. The event is one of the most well-documented UFO sightings involving the military. 57. The San Antonio UFO, 2003. While driving home at night, a man in San Antonio saw a large triangular object slowly flying across the sky. The craft was illuminated by 3 lights in a triangular formation. He was able to capture a picture of it before it disappeared behind some clouds. If I were him, I'd be using that picture as my phone wallpaper for sure. 58. The New Jersey UFO, 1997. In 1997, several witnesses in New Jersey reported seeing a series of lights flying in a V formation. The object was low and moved slowly before disappearing over the horizon. Local news even covered the sighting, and many speculated that it was part of the infamous Phoenix Lights event. Maybe New Jersey was just the UFO's detour on its way west. 59. The 1968 UFO sighting in the U.S. Army UFO Incident, Kentucky. In 1968, U.S. Army personnel at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, reported seeing a UFO fly over the base. The object was described as a round, metallic craft with no visible wings or tail, and it hovered silently before speeding off into the distance. Witnesses reported the sighting to military authorities, but no official explanation was ever provided. 60. The 1984 UFO sighting in the Allegheny UFO Incident, New York. In 1984, a family in Allegheny, New York, reported seeing strange lights in the sky. The lights appeared to be moving in a formation, and many witnesses claimed they could see a craft at the center of the lights. The UFO hovered for several minutes before disappearing. Local authorities investigated, but no explanation was found. 61. The Michigan UFO, 1961. In the early 60s, several residents of Michigan reported a UFO flying over the town of Dexter. The craft reportedly made a series of sudden maneuvers and hovered at low altitude for several minutes before flying away. The most bizarre part? A local newspaper ran a front-page story on the event, but the government issued no statements. Guess they decided to leave the mystery to the people of Michigan. 62. The Colorado UFO, 1977. In 1977, a family driving through Colorado saw a strange, brightly lit object hovering above a mountain range. The object was reported to have moved erratically, occasionally stopping and then speeding off. Witnesses said it was larger than any known aircraft. Colorado is no stranger to UFOs. Maybe they like the mountain views too. 63. The Florence UFO Incident, 1950. In South Carolina, a group of people reported seeing a large disc-shaped UFO hovering near a local farmhouse. The craft emitted a bright light, and several witnesses claimed to feel a strange electrical charge in the air. Talk about a close encounter of the static kind. Who knew UFOs had an electric personality? 64. The Taos hum and UFOs, 1990s. While the Taos hum is known as an unexplained low-frequency sound heard by some residents in Taos, New Mexico, many believe that the sound is connected to UFO activity. The hum was first reported in the 1990s and has puzzled scientists ever since. It's one of those things you'd rather hear about on a podcast than experience yourself. 65. The 1957 UFO sighting in Levelland, Texas. In Levelland, Texas, several drivers reported their cars stalling as a glowing UFO passed overhead. The phenomenon was so widespread that even the sheriff's department received multiple reports. The official explanation? A ball of lightning. But how exactly does lightning cause cars to shut off at the same time? 66. The 1988 UFO sighting in the Australian US. UFO sighting, US military involvement. Though this incident occurred in Australia, US military personnel were reportedly involved. In 1988, several Australian residents saw a UFO flying near a military base, and US personnel were sent to investigate the object. The craft was described as a glowing spherical object that hovered before quickly accelerating into the sky. The US military has never confirmed or denied its involvement. 67. The Chicago O'Hare UFO, 2006. At O'Hare International Airport, ground crew and pilots reported seeing a saucer-shaped object hovering over the runway before shooting off into the sky. The strange part? The object reportedly left a hole in the clouds above it. The FAA initially dismissed the incident, but later reports and witness testimonies continue to fuel the mystery. I guess O'Hare has more than just planes coming through. 68. The 1989 UFO sighting in the Belgian UFO wave. U.S. interests involved. While the 1989 Belgian UFO wave occurred in Belgium, the U.S. government was heavily involved in the investigation. Hundreds of sightings were reported, with witnesses describing triangular-shaped craft moving silently through the sky. The Belgian Air Force tracked the objects on radar, but no conclusive explanation was ever offered, raising suspicions about extraterrestrial involvement. 69. The 1994 UFO sighting in the Virginia UFO incident. U.S. interests involved. In 1994, several Brazilians in Virginia reported seeing a UFO crash in a rural area, and the U.S. government was reportedly involved in the investigation. Some witnesses described seeing strange, humanoid creatures near the crash site. The incident remains a subject of debate, with some claiming it was a cover-up of extraterrestrial contact. 70. The 1994 UFO sighting in the Arizona desert, UFO, Arizona. In 1994, several hikers in the Arizona desert saw a massive, triangular UFO that hovered over the landscape before disappearing. Witnesses reported seeing bright lights on the object, and some believed it was a military aircraft. Despite investigations, no answers were provided, and the event remains a mystery. 71. The 1990 UFO sighting over Kuwait. During the Gulf War, soldiers in Kuwait reported seeing large triangular UFOs in the sky. The craft were observed for several hours by both military personnel and civilians. A strange thing happened. When the UFOs appeared, the airspace was completely clear of other aircraft. Was it a secret weapon from another country, or just another alien observation mission? 72. The 1991 UFO sighting in the Gulf of Mexico. UFO, U.S. Navy involvement. In 1991, U.S. Navy personnel stationed on a ship in the Gulf of Mexico reported seeing several bright lights in the sky. The lights were described as forming a V shape and moving at high speed. The crew attempted to track the objects using radar, but the UFOs moved in ways that no known aircraft could. The incident remains a puzzling mystery to this day. 73. The 1969 UFO sighting in the Holloman Air Force Base UFO incident, New Mexico. In 1969, several airmen at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico reported seeing a UFO land at the base. The object was described as a disc-shaped craft with bright lights. The UFO reportedly stayed on the ground for a short time before taking off at high speed. Despite the number of witnesses, the U.S. government has never provided a definitive explanation. 74. The 1997 UFO sighting in the Arkansas UFO flap, Arkansas. In 1997, multiple sightings of strange lights in the sky were reported across Arkansas. The lights were described as bright, pulsating, and moving erratically. Some witnesses believed they were seeing UFOs, while others thought they were military aircraft. The Arkansas UFO flap became a subject of intense speculation, but the true nature of the sightings was never determined. 75. The 1977 UFOs over the U.S. Midwest. Residents of several states in the U.S. Midwest reported seeing strange lights in the sky in 1977. These UFOs moved erratically, and many people described them as changing shapes. A large portion of these sightings took place near military installations. Were the aliens scouting military sites, or were they just tourists checking out America's heartland? 76. The 1967 UFO sighting in the Kingman UFO crash, Arizona. In 1967, residents near Kingman, Arizona, reported seeing a UFO crash in a remote desert area. The crash site was allegedly investigated by military personnel, and some local witnesses claim to have seen a saucer-shaped craft. The event has been shrouded in secrecy, with few details emerging, leading to rumors of a government cover-up. 77. The 1950 Great Falls UFO. Multiple people in Great Falls, Montana, reported seeing strange lights in the sky, which appeared to hover for a period of time before darting off at incredible speed. The military claimed it was a secret experiment, but given the high number of witnesses, many people remained skeptical. Great Falls was on the UFO map, but I wonder, did the aliens just stop for directions? 78. The 1996 UFO encounter. Over Mexico. In 1996, several people in Mexico witnessed a large spherical UFO hovering over a busy highway. The craft was reported to be reflecting the sun and shining brightly. Military helicopters reportedly chased the object, but it disappeared without a trace. What makes this sighting especially interesting is the fact that several independent witnesses saw the same thing, all from different locations. 79. The 1993 UFO over Lake Michigan. Residents of Chicago and surrounding areas reported seeing UFOs over Lake Michigan in 1993. The objects were described as circular, glowing, and hovering for long periods of time before disappearing. Local authorities were quick to dismiss the sightings as weather anomalies, but many people still believe the objects were extraterrestrial. 80. The 1967 Shag Harbor UFO incident, Canada. In Nova Scotia, Canada, multiple witnesses saw a UFO crash into the waters of Shag Harbor. The Canadian Coast Guard and military conducted an investigation, and divers were sent to search the waters. Though nothing was found, the event remains one of Canada's most well-known UFO encounters. 81. The 1983 Texas UFO sighting. Residents in Texas reported seeing a bright, glowing object flying at incredible speeds before it disappeared over the horizon. The object was described as being larger than any known aircraft, and several witnesses reported feeling strange vibrations when it flew by. Texas just can't catch a break when it comes to UFOs. First Roswell, now this. Which of these UFO sightings do you find the most mind-boggling? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the wildest encounter. 82. The 1968 UFO sighting in Socorro, New Mexico. In Socorro, New Mexico, a police officer named Lonnie Zamora saw a mysterious object in the sky. He initially thought it was a car accident, but soon realized it was a shiny, egg-shaped UFO. The craft landed, and two humanoid figures were seen outside. By the time other officers arrived, the UFO was gone. Though the incident is still one of the most compelling in UFO history, skeptics claim it was just a hoax. But would a police officer really make this up? Maybe he was just in need of a good story. 83. The 2004 USS Princeton UFO, California. Off the coast of California, during military exercises aboard the USS Princeton, several Navy radar operators reported detecting strange, fast-moving objects on their radar screens. The objects were described as moving at speeds and altitudes far beyond anything human-made. Fighter jets were dispatched, but by the time they arrived, the UFOs had already vanished. It's not every day that UFOs are causing a military panic. Maybe they were just trying to get a closer look at the US Navy's newest tech. 84. The 1976 Tehran UFO incident, Iran. In Tehran, Iran, the Iranian Air Force scrambled fighter jets to investigate reports of a UFO in the skies. Several pilots locked their radar onto the object, describing it as a glowing disc-shaped craft. The UFO reportedly jammed the jet's electronics, rendering them unable to lock on. Some military personnel claimed the craft disappeared in an instant. Could it have been a top-secret test? Or was Tehran just the latest place for UFOs to show off their technological edge? 85. The 1977 UFO sighting in Hillsdale, Michigan. In Hillsdale, Michigan, several residents saw a massive UFO hovering just above the ground. The object had red, green, and white lights and hovered for several minutes before disappearing. One witness even claimed that the UFO caused his car to stall. Perhaps it was just looking for some road assistance. Maybe it was an intergalactic AAA. 86. The 1998 UFO sighting over Mexico City. In Mexico City, thousands of people reported seeing multiple glowing objects in the sky. The UFOs were described as flying in formation and performing maneuvers that defied the laws of physics. Mexican authorities initially denied the reports, but video footage from various sources later surfaced. Mexico City might just be the UFO hotspot of the world. Who knew aliens liked tacos as much as we do? 87. The 2000 UFO sighting in Israel. In 2000, Israel's military reported seeing a strange object in the sky. The UFO was captured on radar as it flew over the Mediterranean before it disappeared. Some Israeli officials suggested it could be a military test from another country, but others believe it was extraterrestrial. Is there a secret space race happening that we don't know about? Maybe this is just another chapter of the global UFO mystery. 88. The 1961 Betty and Barney Hill abduction, New Hampshire. Betty and Barney Hill's abduction case is one of the first widely publicized alien abduction stories. While driving through the mountains of New Hampshire, the couple was reportedly taken aboard a UFO. They later underwent hypnosis, revealing details of their experience. Some believe this was one of the first documented cases of missing time. As wild as it sounds, the Hills story sparked the first real mainstream discussions about UFO abductions. 89. The 1967 UFO sighting in Shreveport, Louisiana. In 1967, multiple people in Shreveport, Louisiana, witnessed a UFO that was described as a large, bright object hovering silently over the city. The UFO was said to have moved erratically before disappearing into the night sky. The incident was thoroughly investigated by local authorities, but no conclusive explanation was found. 90. The 1993 UFO over Gulf Breeze, Florida. Florida is no stranger to strange sightings, and Gulf Breeze was the center of attention in 1993. The case involved a series of UFO sightings, with one particularly stunning photograph showing a large, disc-shaped object hovering near a local resident's house. The photos sparked widespread debate. Were they authentic, or were they cleverly staged? I guess it depends on whether you believe in UFOs or not. Florida might just have the most UFO-friendly skies. 91. The 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident. In July 1952, several UFOs were spotted on radar flying over Washington, D.C. The objects performed erratic movements that were tracked by military radar operators. Fighter jets were dispatched to investigate, but by the time they arrived, the UFOs vanished. This event is sometimes called the Washington National UFO Sighting and remains one of the most widely seen and debated UFO encounters of all time. If UFOs are trying to make a statement, DC seems like the perfect place for them to make an entrance. 92. The 1995 UFO sighting in Tustin, California. In Tustin, California, several residents witnessed a large, disc-shaped object floating silently above their town. The craft was reported to have a series of lights along its edge, and it hovered for several minutes before disappearing at incredible speed. A similar craft was reportedly seen in nearby areas over the following weeks. Is Tustin now the unofficial UFO capital of Southern California? The UFOs sure seem to like it there. 93. The 1966 UFO sighting in the Michigan Swamp Gas Incident, Michigan. In 1966, several residents of Dexter, Michigan, reported seeing strange lights in the sky. The lights appeared to be moving erratically and were thought by some to be UFOs. The U.S. Air Force investigated and concluded that the lights were caused by swamp gas. However, many witnesses and UFO enthusiasts reject the explanation, considering it a cover-up. 94. The 2003 UFO sighting over Chicago again. Chicago's skies have played host to several UFO sightings, but in 2003, several drivers and pedestrians witnessed a large triangular UFO moving silently over the city. It was described as having several bright lights along its edges, and it disappeared just as quickly as it appeared. Chicago might not be the first city you think of for UFO encounters, but it definitely seems to have its fair share of mysteries. 95. The 1964 UFO sighting over McMinnville, Oregon. In 1964, two farmers in McMinnville, Oregon, saw a flying saucer hovering in the sky and took several photographs of it. These photos are considered some of the most convincing evidence of a UFO sighting in history. The McMinnville photos were widely discussed and helped to solidify the UFO phenomenon in the public's eye. Talk about a close encounter in a small town. 96. The 1978 Westall UFO, Australia again. Australia just can't stay out of the UFO spotlight. In 1978, a massive UFO was spotted hovering over the small town of Westall, and again, it was seen by multiple people. This incident remains one of the largest and most well-documented UFO sightings in Australia. UFO enthusiasts still debate whether it was a real alien craft or a top-secret government test. If it was a test, Australia sure seems to have a lot of top-secret experiments happening. 97. The 1965 UFO sighting in the Saucer Lake UFO incident, Michigan. In 1965, multiple residents near Saucer Lake in Michigan reported seeing a UFO hovering above the lake. The object was described as saucer-shaped and had bright lights around its edges. Witnesses reported seeing the object move slowly over the water before speeding off. The incident remains one of the most famous UFO sightings in Michigan. 98. The 1,970 UFO sighting in the Oklahoma UFO incident, Oklahoma. In 1970, multiple residents of Oklahoma reported seeing a strange, glowing object in the sky. The UFO was said to be moving in an erratic pattern and changing colors as it traveled across the state. Authorities investigated, but no explanation was offered, leaving the residents to wonder what they had seen. 99. The 2003 UFO sighting in the Michigan Triangle UFO, Michigan. In 2003, several residents in Michigan reported seeing strange lights in the sky over Lake Michigan. The lights were described as forming a triangular shape, and the object moved silently across the water. The Michigan Triangle UFO sightings gained attention from UFO researchers, but the true nature of the phenomenon remains unknown. 100. The 2004 UFO sighting in the Salt Lake City UFO, Utah. In 2004, residents in Salt Lake City, Utah, reported seeing a UFO hovering over the city. The object was described as bright and round, and it was visible for several minutes before disappearing into the sky. No official explanation was provided, leaving the witnesses to wonder what they had actually seen. 101. The 1999 UFO sighting in the Denver UFO Flap, Colorado. In 1999, multiple sightings of strange lights were reported across Denver, Colorado. Witnesses described seeing multiple objects in the sky, with some appearing as bright lights and others as solid craft. Authorities were unable to provide an explanation, and the incident became one of the most widely discussed UFO events in the region. That's a wrap for our list of 101 shocking UFO sightings. What do you think? Are UFOs out there, Or is it all just one big mystery? Keep looking to the skies. You never know what you might see.